Welcome to Hello Downtown, a podcast by Downtown Sioux Falls.
This is Hello Downtown, the podcast where we explore the people, the places, and the pulse of our city's core. I'm your host, Brandon Hanson, and every episode we dive into the stories shaping life in the heart of Sioux Falls. So whether you're downtown every day or just downtown at heart, let's jump in. Thank you so much for tuning into Hello Downtown. This is a special mayoral series where we're sitting down one-on-one with candidates for Sioux Falls Mayor. We invited all 5 candidates to participate, and soon you'll hear from 4 of them here. Each conversation builds on their responses from our March Mayoral Forum, which was co-hosted with AARP South Dakota. You can watch that forum on our YouTube channel or listen to episode 18 of this podcast. This is a core part of what DTSF does for the community and for downtown Sioux Falls. We are an advocacy organization, and our goal is just to educate as much as possible and bring to light just who these people are and what they could do for the city of Sioux Falls. Thank you so much for listening. Well, we're back on Hello Downtown, and today I'm joined by Christine Erickson, obviously a candidate for the Sioux Falls mayoral position, a Sioux Falls business executive and civic leader with deep roots in public service, from her early days working in the state government to serving 8 years on the Sioux Falls City Council. Christine has built a career focused on accountability, community, and getting results for the people.
Yes, welcome. Hey, thanks for having me here.
Thanks for being here. Is there anything that's not in that pre-written bio that you want to share with people about who you are?
Well, so today, my current role, I've been out of public service, so to speak, for the last 5 years, but you're never really away from it, really. And so I've served the last 5 years here in Sioux Falls as the president of South Dakota Auto Dealers and Trucking Association. And so oftentimes I'm telling people that's the cornerstone of all commerce. We weren't cool until COVID hit and you couldn't get groceries or toilet paper or whatever it is. And so that transportation industry is so important. And so I get to lobby in DC here and really represent the mom and pop businesses that keep our communities moving, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, awesome. And you've got quite a robust family too.
Yeah. I grew up with 3 brothers. And so I was one of the boys. My father really didn't make me feel that I was just this wallflower, so to speak. I was one of the boys. And so it was kind of that rough and tough tumble upbringing, so to speak, but also there's a special bond between dads and daughters. There just really is. And so I'm a boy mom myself. I have 3 boys, 21, 17, 15. 1 at SDSU and 2 at Jefferson High School here in Sioux Falls. So I'm a boy mom. It's what I know. It's just in my blood. And so just been so fun raising them and seeing their independence and really growing up to be good young men.
Awesome. I am a girl dad.
Ooh.
Got 2 little girls, so
yes.
I understand that bond very well.
Yes. You just wait till they start dating, Brandon.
Oh, we're way off of that. The oldest one is 3.5.
Oh, so you got some years. Yes.
I have some time, I think so, but preparing already, I guess, mentally. So, well, we're just going to kick this off and get into your campaign a little bit and just, again, who you are as a human, but a few quick hitters right away just to get to know you better and give our listeners just some orientation on the topic here. So we'll get to specific issues and follow-ups from forums in a little bit. Sure. So just to kick it off, a nice deep one. What's one moment in your life or career that's really shaped how you think and make decisions today?
Well, I think really there's a lot of pivotal moments. When I served in the Sioux Falls City Council, I served during COVID, and nothing was more challenging and trying and emotional as serving through that time. We were doing the best we could with what we knew and what we had. Businesses were on the brink of closing. People were having a hard time making ends meet because businesses weren't open. And so we tried to really balance what we knew with making sure people could still thrive and make ends meet. And so it was a really, really difficult time. I found myself on the side that wasn't as popular with some folks. I supported not the mask mandate. I thought that businesses should get to choose. And so with that comes criticism. With that comes a really trying, interesting time. And so for me, serving during that time, it really shaped the way I thought, making sure I was listening to people that thought differently than me. I was empathetic because it was a scary time, but I also stood firm in my convictions. And for me, it was more than a mask mandate. It was very deeply personal for me from an instance that I went through at a young age. And so it was very personal, but it was just an ugly time, really. It just really was. I just saw relationships crumble. People didn't have the human interaction that they needed so desperately. We saw the education system change. And so serving during that time really did shape the way I thought, making sure, man, it's okay for people to think differently. And it's okay for us to have those hard conversations, but we've got to be respectful while we're doing it.
Yeah. If you were sitting down with someone who doesn't know or follow local politics at all, how would you explain to them why you're running?
Well, goodness, for me, it's really about service. Like I said, I grew up in a family that, we didn't have a whole lot at the time. I didn't know we really didn't have a lot, but it was always my parents modeled for us that sense of service and giving back into a community that we loved. And so for me, it's about giving back. Now, I'm not sure my father thought, hey, she's going to run for mayor someday or run for public office. But, he grew up serving our country in the Army. My brother served in the Army National Guard. And so each person's service looks a little bit differently. And so for me, it's about giving back to that sense of community and making sure that there's opportunities for my kids, your kids, people that want to retire here and really just start a business. It's really, like I said, it's just really about service for me.
And then if your time as mayor is successful, we have, Mayor Christine or Mayor Erickson, however you want to be referred to. But let's look at toward the end of the term or terms. What would people look back on, 3 things and say, Christine was successful? Yeah.
Well, one, it's about being approachable in a sense of feeling that this is your community and the mayor is just a part of that community. And so being able to be approachable in communication and consultation is really important. With that transparency included in that, I think that's probably 1 and 2 with all of that, with communication and transparency. And then lastly, accountability is so important. I'm not going to get it right all the time. I welcome the feedback and I welcome the accountability to making sure that I'm serving you, the public, to the best ability as I can.
Great. Okay. Now we're getting into some of the harder ones.
Let's do it.
Yeah, no, they're not harder. Just looking back at our mayoral forum, and I know you've been, my gosh, the schedule is wild.
Yeah, it's pretty busy.
Yeah, I think there's at least 14 different scheduled forums, but there's coffee meetings, there's one-on-one conversations. It's pretty much 24/7, I think, for you all. But you spent a lot of time meeting with people across Sioux Falls and leading up to this very conversation. What's a conversation that you've had so far that's just stuck with you?
Oh, great question. I've had a lot of conversations from people that are in retirement years, people that are building their businesses, and then also those people that are in that young professional network. I recently got to speak to a group of 18 to early 20 somethings. And these are people that just moved here. Some just moved here. Some have grown up here. And that conversation was so moving to me because they're what we want to see our community be like, right? They're the next generation of our community. And so sometimes people say, oh, I had this business meeting. Those are all really important. People that are pouring in and investing in our community. But what do we want our community to look like? These are the people that are starting their families. These are people that are starting their careers, maybe finishing their education. And so that conversation with them, our whole conversation was over influence and how you use your influence. And just being able to pour into them. I was there to talk about influence. However, I feel like they influenced me more because as I was listening to their questions and how they want to see Sioux Falls shape, I thought, man, how can we lead making sure that people of that age want to continue to live here and want to continue to operate a business here and start a business versus thinking they have to move halfway across the country because we don't have those opportunities here. And so those conversations are really, really important. And then I'll go to the flip side. I've had some conversations with some folks that are retired here. And I love having those conversations because they've seen Sioux Falls change so much. And they've still continued to choose Sioux Falls to be their home and to retire. And so it's that sweet spot between those two different age demographics of what we want Sioux Falls to look like soon or in the future to the people that have lived here so far and stayed because it's been so good for all of the years before. And so I would say both of those two demographics really provided some direction, even for me as I want to lead this city.
Yeah, I've noticed, particularly in that younger demographic, they're starting to show up to city council meetings.
They are.
And they're organizing.
Yes.
Like, it's not just random, and it's they're texting each other and saying, hey, there's important issues that relate to our jobs or to the future of Sioux Falls. We want to be part of it.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. I mean, I go, I'm literally paid to go there.
You have to go.
I don't know that I would go if I didn't have this job. I mean, it's a tough ask. To be there every Tuesday night,
It is, but I think what's so incredible about it is in Sioux Falls, we're not short on opportunities of groups investing in others. And so getting that, neighboring communities even coming and paying attention what's happening in Sioux Falls is important. And so I love that these different civic groups are saying, hey, show up because it matters. It matters when you show up and you're a part of the process. You don't get to complain if you don't vote. You don't get to complain if you don't step up and serve or be a part of the solution. It's more than just being a keyboard ninja and airing your grievances on social media. You got to do something about it. And that's what I love about that generation is they are waking up and they want to be a part of the process.
Couldn't agree more. So you've said in your campaign website and just even at the forums, you've a phrase you've said is Sioux Falls is at a crossroads. So when you picture that and think about that, and as you're talking to people about that, what are the paths that we're kind of choosing between right now?
Well, look, we are growing, and with growing comes growing pains. I like to talk about the airport. When I first moved here to go to college in Sioux Falls, I traveled to Minnesota. I traveled to Omaha to fly out because it was too expensive. There weren't flights available. And that investment in the airport is economic development. It is so important. I fly quite a bit for my job, going to different trainings and seminars. And recently I sat by a person and I said, oh, are you from Sioux Falls? And she said, nope, we're from Aberdeen. I said, oh, great. They came 2 days earlier. They went to 2 big box stores and stocked up. They were going to stay one more night on the back end. And so that economic development is sometimes things we take for granted because we're South Dakota nice. We, come here. We're great. We have a low tax burden. It doesn't just happen just all organically like that. It comes with thoughtful leadership. And so for us, as we continue to grow, there will be challenges with growth. You can't just grow and it's all good. There are some additional challenges. And with that, I mean public safety. So as we continue to get bigger, we have to make sure that we've got a lens on public safety and making sure that our community is not just growing for the sake of growth, but it makes sense.
And you've held leadership roles in both local government, but also state government and business even. What do you think this role demands from someone on day one? Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, it has to be very open. You have to be available. You have to be somebody who shows up. This isn't a job that you're just going to cut ribbons. This is a job where you have to roll your sleeves and get to work. And, Mayor Paul has done such a great job at building relationships and changing the culture within City Hall. And I look forward to expanding on all the good work that he has done. An area, lens that I think we really need to focus on as we move forward are relationships with our legislature. We haven't always done a real good job with that. And so for me, I have a process and plan in place to build those relationships, many of which I already have because I've worked in and around Pierre for many years. And so building those relationships. So when bills come forward, we can say, hey, by the way, this is why this impacts us. We can pick up the phone. We can shoot a quick text message versus being reactionary. And so I look forward to building a collaborative relationship with Pierre and really our surrounding communities. People are probably tired of hearing me say this. I compare Sioux Falls to be the center of a donut, right? All of the communities around us do support Sioux Falls in one way, shape, or form. People shop here. They go to concerts. Sometimes they pick their head off their pillow and come to work here, and vice versa. Sometimes people that live here in Sioux Falls might work in some of our neighboring communities. And so we're stronger when we're together. And so working in that collaborative nature is really important. So day one, it's going to be about building a team. Building that mayor's office team, as well as hiring those directors that we know we need to fill here. The planning director, Jeff Eckhoff, he's done such a great job. It's so sad to see him go. And those are really, really big shoes to fill. And so we'll have some work to do to fill that role, as well as a couple of the other directors that are retiring as well.
Yeah, we're in particular going to miss Jeff for sure. He serves ex officio on our board, mayoral appointed position, but it's just been a value add and a huge asset just for the guidance of our organization. The analogy of a donut and a donut hole as Sioux Falls versus the estate, that's actually similar to how we describe downtown to this community.
For sure.
It's the exact same story. Yeah, absolutely. It's pumping out all the resources, but it can garner some animosity.
Yeah. Because, sometimes people look at Sioux Falls as a whole as, they get everything. And I'm sure you hear that too. Oh, why does downtown get everything? And we don't as a city, and downtown Sioux Falls doesn't either, but that's kind of the perception. And statistically, it shows when downtown is doing well, the rest of the city is doing well. When the city of Sioux Falls is doing well, the rest of the state is doing well. And so it's really a partnership that we should be, really just lifting everyone up together.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to damage your heart so your leg is better.
Right.
It doesn't work.
No, it does not work.
Better together for sure. It's actually one of our company core values.
I love that.
And you talked about the impact of sprawl and the importance of growing intentionally. And we've even talked about it briefly in this conversation. But when you think about getting that right in Sioux Falls as a whole, not just downtown, what does that look like in real terms for neighborhoods? Yeah,
well, infill development is really important. The infrastructure is already there. So we know that it's way more affordable for that infill development. A handful of years ago, we built some apartments on an infill lot. It was like 24 years ago. It was a long time ago.
Goes by fast.
It did, but it was 100% infill development that we did. And so we saw how much more affordable it was to be able to do that. But we don't want to just toss things up either. We need to protect the character and charm of our historic neighborhoods. So we're not just throwing up a stick-built triplex because there's infill development. That doesn't make sense with maybe what the cathedral neighborhood looks like. So it has to be intentional as well. But it is more affordable to do that in the long term, as we talk about growth and spreading out. You have to be planning. You always have to be planning for the next source of water. We're about 65 years out for planning for water. We should have enough water for 65 years. Well, we're not going to wait till year 62 and say, boy, where are we going to get our next water source? And so those conversations are already happening today. And so that long-term planning, things that maybe we take for granted when you get in your car and you drive on the roads and, you flush your toilet or turn your sink on, those are things we expect to happen, but it takes a lot of planning. Public Works Director Mark Cotter, I've known him for a long, long time, and he is the master planner when it comes to making sure that those resources are in place so we can continue to grow at the right pace, not a fast pace, but at the right pace.
Yeah. A lot of balance to it. Now you've also mentioned cutting red tape,
yes,
which I think gets people very excited.
I know, right?
What a fun little phrase. But,
I know. But how do you do it, right?
Well, what are some of the examples of where you've seen red tape slowing things down and how do you do that?
So when I was on the city council, one of the last things that I did is I created just kind of a committee and unfortunately it didn't take off. I would love to be able to empower the city council to say, hey, let's dive into this. And it was called ROC, the Regulatory Oversight Committee. And so the intent of that committee was to dive in and find things that we can cut. Let's get rid of it. I'll also tell you, when I'm in Pierre, my issues in transportation aren't really controversial. And so I sit in other committees a lot of times. And I sat in the Commerce Committee one day, and there was new building codes that were coming forward. And the question was asked by one of the senators, how much is this going to add to the cost of a home? And the question was, I don't know. And so this particular senator pushed back and said, well, why are we putting these regulations? And just because they're updated, are we doing it? Is it really making it safer, or are we just adding more costs to the home? And ultimately they said, not to use a car analogy, but they said, we don't need the Cadillac of building code on this. We're just going to add another $1,800 to the price of a home for why? And so sometimes we need to look at those regulations and go, are we doing this because it makes us feel better and somebody needs something to do? Or are we doing this because it actually is adding meaningful impact and change? And so I'm excited to dive into some of those areas. The process, I'm a process person as well. And so empowering those departments to say, how can we break down the silos? And so when a home builder is coming in or a developer, to get their building code or their building permits, let's make sure the process is quick and swift and it's as easy as possible. We are the customer service. We need to take care of the public when they come in and make it easy, not keep sending them on a chase. So through some of the conversations that I've had recently, sitting down with a handful of home builders, they're like, please fix the process. It is taking way too long. And so one of the initiatives that I've talked a little bit about that I'm excited to launch is a workforce fast pass. And this is for workforce housing. And what it would do is it would create a set of criteria. And if you meet those criteria, this workforce fast pass building permit would go quicker. So we're able to get workforce housing on the roll a little bit faster than maybe some of the others. Now, I don't want to slow anybody else down and for developers to go, well, does that mean that I have to be slowed down? It doesn't. There's a process that we can create to make sure that we can fast track some of those to get more housing on the roll.
Yeah. I actually applied for a tree permit the other day and it only took a week and I didn't have to, it was super
fast.
So.
Yeah. Are you planting or taking it down?
Planting.
You had to get a permit to plant a tree?
Well, in a boulevard and you get a credit for it. So why not? I just want to try the process.
Yeah. Try it out and see if it works. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, honestly, pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Well, that's good. At first I was like, wait a minute, you can't plant a tree in your own boulevard. But I get it. I get it. Yeah.
Ash tree was removed. So anyway.
Yeah.
So let's talk about downtown a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that's where we are. That's where I work. So I get to make us talk about downtown. So
I love it.
And I know you spend a lot of time working with and listening to people in downtown. We've had several meetings. I see you all over down here and you're hosting events and fundraisers. How do you see the relationship between the city and the organization of DTSF evolving?
Well, I will tell you, I have loved watching the DTSF has really become a lot more relevant. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but the advocacy component that you have done, Brandon, has been really fun to watch. Before it was, I think DTSF was viewed as an event holder. Yeah, we hold events and we're fun. But you have done so much more than just that, to being able to advocate for projects that are happening downtown and things that make sense and impact the businesses down here. And so I think with the right leadership, that relationship with the city and DTSF really can continue to flourish and grow. I see DTSF playing a huge part in when we're talking about the Smithfield relocation. This is just continuing to go further. And so that relationship is really important. And I'm grateful for your leadership in moving DTSF forward.
I wasn't trying to get compliments.
I know, but you deserve it, man.
The city does, through the RFP process, they do fund our ambassador program as well. And it's the community's ambassador program. They're our employees and, we pay their salaries, their benefits and all that, but kind of a split investment between the city, but also the property owners through the business improvement district tax that's collected down here. We would call it an investment because we all hate that tax word.
I know.
But it's been just such a good program that's been beloved by this community. I think it's even, that's probably where we get some of the hate from other neighborhoods is they're wondering, why can't we have it that clean?
Right.
It's because we have physical people
doing the
like
work.
Martindale removing 200,000 pounds of trash from the district each year.
That's wild. That's
gross work, but they are so happy.
It's so important. And really, if you don't have that curb appeal and a good steward, people won't want to come hang out. They just won't. Like I said earlier, I travel quite a bit for work and I was in San Antonio and they have a similar ambassador program where there's people in, the colored shirts that are telling you wayfinding and they're the eyes and ears. If somebody's, I witnessed somebody that was hurt and they were the first person there that sat with that person until the EMT was able to be there. And so the role is very wide, but very impactful.
Yeah. And they love it. Our goal is to reduce some resource burden on both the city and the property owners. So it's really a shared service model, but
yeah, it's great.
I was just pulling some metrics last year, greeted 17,000 visitors, 1-to-1 and just making sure that's welcoming and still feels like a small town. Yeah.
What do you think? I know you're asking me the questions, but I'll ask you one back on this is what do you think their biggest challenge is? Is it maybe dealing with unruly people or is it, maybe the gross work of picking up garbage or what do you think their biggest challenge is?
Oh, I think our biggest challenge, as a team is probably resources. We could triple that team tomorrow.
Oh, right.
Yeah. There's fringes.
Yeah.
There are people who are on the edges who are paying into the bid or, even just, do we have to care about this imaginary line in the ground so much? There's graffiti right across the street, but we're following a city ordinance. So we have to make sure that we're following that. The city funding allows us to kind of break those lines a little more freely, but and then just thinking ahead to, again, Smithfield development or Sanford district. And if you include that plus all the city-owned land over there, plus Riverline, we're talking like several hundred acres, but the resources come late. Yeah. That's how taxes work. If we start charging you now, by the time we get a hold of them, it's 2 years later, but you want service right when we start to work. Yeah, exactly. And so we're going to have to figure out how to bolster that as the district grows and continues to move east. Yeah, definitely. Because we're so passionate about this place and about the city. And the sense of community that it really brings. When people collaborate and get together, that sense of community is what really draws people here, I think. Yeah, absolutely. Since we're talking about the east kind of side already, and downtown split up into 3 sub-districts. We got historic downtown this direction. To the north is uptown. Yep. East of the river is East Bank. And that's kind of where all that development activity is starting to take place. Let's talk about the viaduct. This beautiful road, this massive highway like structure. Yeah. I see motorcycles flying on that all the time. Yes, it is a big priority for our organization on the advocacy front, and it has been for the last 12 months. And we've actually made some serious headway with the engineering team, which is amazing. They are just tried and true engineers, just from their brains work just so much differently than a lot of ours down here do. Efficiency is the goal. But we've started to kind of push back and just say, hey, yes, but, and what about safety of pedestrians and what about economic impact? Yep. And so can you just speak to how a corridor like that and a major entry point into downtown impacts pedestrian safety and it economics? It really does. And if people aren't feeling safe, they're not going to walk on those or walk even, we hear 14th Street all the time is still a problem, right? And so for those viaducts, we want to get it right. So we're not just redoing them and 100 years later, we're redoing again. I know that's an exaggeration, but just making sure that we get it right and that all of the players are going into it and being heard and no disrespect to engineers, but they build roads and that's what they do. And they're designing that. And so making sure that we take more feedback than that so that we add that walkability and bike safety. I ride a motorcycle and it's crazy out there sometimes, right? And so I see the roadways really, really different when I'm on my bike
my motorcycle versus riding in my car. And so we just have to take all of that type of mode of transportation into play when we're planning those. But we need to be really careful so we get it right. And that connectivity is really, really important. We talk about the river line, which, with the opening of the Sanford district in a few years, the changes the game a lot. It really does change the conversation of what will go there next. And so I know there were reports of saying that's the best place for it. That was before the Sanford district was announced. And so just kind of pulling back a little bit, saying, okay, what else could that be? Would that be a better location for? I'm even cautious to say anything and give an example, but there are some other options out there that we could see that and connect to the downtown area.
Yeah. All I hear is Trader Joe's.
My goodness.
I know. I would actually tell you Pomegranate Market is better.
Yes,
so
I love that.
We don't even need it.
Yes.
Check out Pomegranate Market if you haven't.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. The viaducts, they're really uncomfortable to walk on right now. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to do that. Yeah. I've taken that opportunity only once, and that was good enough for me.
Yeah.
Just to use it as a walking path. But driving, I mean, honestly, it's really psychologically, I'm not even paying attention necessarily to my speed, and all of a sudden I'm going way too fast.
Yep. And you're over the bridge. Yep.
And now you're in an environment that's 15 miles an hour.
Yep.
So downtown is just very different, the built environment. And we don't want to sacrifice the volume of cars either. We want all those bodies and people down here.
Exactly.
So it's a really tough balance that we've been making it real tough on those engineers.
That's good. But if you don't ask the questions, you'll just get what you get, and then you have to react. And so ask the tough questions early on versus just being reactionary, I think is important.
Yeah. And they've been awesome.
Yeah.
There's really great employees at the city. So I've got really just one more question for you. And you can ask me more if you'd like, but we've heard a lot about public input, and it feels like that's a kind of a theme that's coming out of the audiences at these forums. And what does effective public input process look like to you?
Well, I think public input comes in a lot of different ways. I wear that legislative hat where I was a legislator and peer, and public input looked very, very different than public input at the city council meetings. And so it is so important to be accessible and available to the public, but public input comes more than just at a city hall meeting. Or a city council meeting. It comes in the grocery store. It comes at my son's basketball game. It comes at a dinner I'm at. It comes in all forms. And so I think sometimes when people come to a city council meeting, they think that's the only form of public input. And that's just not right. It's just not there. Send emails, send calls, reach out and be proactive. Don't just show up. And with your public input, which is important. It's important to come and be heard. But I think where I've gotten a little frustrating watching the city council meetings and even being a part of them is just the lack of decorum that is taking place. And, I love the passion. I love when people are bold. I want you to say how you feel. But we have to do it in a respectful way. And I think that comes with leadership as well. And so I'm hoping, that people continue to stay engaged, but do it in more than one way. Reach out via phone, reach out via email, come to the city council meetings and come to public meetings as well. I think that's how you're going to get your voice heard and be able to maybe be a part of the process more than just one meeting. Yeah.
Anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap this thing up?
If I can have a shameless plug for anyone listening, go to ChristineForSiouxFalls.com and check out our website. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You'll see where we're at for our events that we're hosting. We've had some really fun events all across Sioux Falls, some meet and greets, some coffees, things of that nature. And so, one thing, I'm an open book. I'm probably too much sometimes. And so I say, reach out if you wonder where I stand on an issue. I'm never shy of an opinion, but I'm also going to ask you the hard questions back because I want to have a solution after the conversation. So reach out and be a part of the process. Don't forget to vote June 2nd.
Perfect. I don't know if you could read my papers.
Did I take your clothes?
No,
no. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to take your clothes.
No, that's good. No, please do vote though. It's beyond important. someone's going to win this race, and we just want people to engage in this process. And it's, by the time this is out and people are listening, you can already do absentee voting. So
for sure. Thank you so much. That's right. Can I do one more little shameless plug here? Here's what I'm telling people to do. When you go to the Secretary of State's website, pull up your sample ballot and print it out. My team is encouraging people is flip that ballot over and start at the bottom. That will make sure that you get through every single thing. There's 5 charter amendments. There's school board, there's county commission, city council, governor, all of that. And so what we are telling people is start at the bottom so you get through the entire ballot and hold on until you get to vote for governor.
There you go. Christine Erickson, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me and spending a little time with us.
Thanks for the invite.
This is Hello Downtown.